Lords of the Fallen is a challenging Souls-like game from developer Hexworks and published by CI Games. Here at Prima Games, we're working hard to provide you with guides for everything you need to be successful in Lords of the Fallen. While he may not be a towering individual like the Congregator of Flesh, the Crimson Rector known as Percival can be an impressively difficult fight for players who accidentally stumble upon him. Fortunately, while Percival isn't an essential fight when it comes to beating the game, he does guard a very useful shortcut and drops a pretty decent ring. So if you want to know how to defeat Crimson Rector Percival in Lords of the Fallen, look no further than this guide. In order to track down Percival, you'll first need to defeat the Hush Saint, one of Lords of the Fallen's major boss fights. After that brawl, you'll gain access to the vestige of the Pale Butcher, otherwise known as the Hamlet when you open the fast travel menu. From this spawn point, run to the right and along the bridge to traverse the small river. On the other side of the bridge, follow the lit torches to your right through the cave system until a rusted iron gate appears. You'll be funneled into a shallow valley with a collection of water that'll slow your pace when you begin wading through it. On the other end, you'll see a demonic hound patrolling. What you likely won't see is the flame-spewing version of that same enemy hiding behind the wooden barriers on the right. Deal with these two foes however you like and charge up the right side of the rising valley. Head back to the route you were going and dive into what appears to be a full-scale battle between axemen and macemen, with crossbow folk taking the occasional pot shot. Whether or not you participate in this battle, your target is the wall at the end of this path. Now that you're at the archway that leads through the wall, you're about to come face to face with Crimson Rector Percival. Percival is all about holy damage and radiant spells, so the first thing you'll want to do is apply a holy ward. While this won't let you take some of his more devastating hits, it'll let you survive the radiant buildup that his sword will dish out with each hit. It's also worth noting that he's just a human, so using bleed salt or poison salt on your equipped weapon can be a useful damage buff. The thing about Percival is, despite his Super Saiyan sword and his swift movements, his actual attacks are very slow. His most frequently used combo is an overhead downward swing followed by a horizontal swipe. The first attack takes him ages to wind up, probably because his magic sword is too, so it's easy to block. After the second swing of his combo, he'll reset his position, which is your cue to take a few swings and sink some early damage into his back. When he's recovered, he usually jumps back, and while that may seem like a chance to rush Percival down, he covers himself by leaving behind a glowing aura that will swing its sword just like the real thing. Dodge to the left or right and the apparition will dissipate after a single attack. Once his Radiance Ghost finishes, Percival usually closes the gap himself with either a flying overhead smash that can be dodged by rolling left or right, or a running thrust that tracks your position probably a little more than it should. Given the relative length of his blade, I'd recommend dodging into him, preferably to the left. Avoiding the thrust, the Crimson Rector will chain together another two hits, an upper hand swing and a sweep that stretches around his back, so be cautious not to dodge too far behind him. After about a minute of combat, Percival's Radiant spell will dissipate. In this state, he's just a regular swordman with a bigger health pool. He deals less damage and his reach is significantly lower, so get aggressive and start swinging. You want to use this time for all it's worth, because in around 20 seconds he'll cast the spell again and you'll be back at square one. At around half health, he alters his magic by adding a circle of healing around himself. As Percival ignites the healing circle, take the risk and shift into Umbra. You won't gain a second chance if you die, but you'll notice that the arena is filled with little polyps. If you bait Percy close enough to one of these growths and hit it, the explosion won't harm you, but it briefly stuns him and instantly deactivates his Radiant spell. He'll be left as a swordman who is much easier to fight. Rinse and repeat, and Percy will eventually succumb to your might. Once the Crimson Rector is defeated, you can access a shortcut up to the scaffolding surrounding Skyrest, and you'll gain the Crimson Rector leggings, the Ring of Brilliant Protection, and a Vestige Seed. Make sure to subscribe to Prima Games for our continued coverage on Lords of the Fallen. And if you have your own strategies for beating the bosses, let us know in the comments.